Ukraine-Russia war live, Russia to hold nuclear war evacuation drills. Russia will today hold nationwide drills simulating the evacuation of civilians during a nuclear war, according to reports. The exercises on Tuesday will test rescue workers' readiness to remove large numbers of people from hypothetical radiation zones. Leaked documents published by Russian media outlet Baza show. It is unclear how many civilians, if any, will be involved. Russia holds civil defense drills annually, but this is thought to be the first time the exercises will be held simultaneously across the country. They come after the head of Russia's leading nuclear energy research center reportedly urged the Kremlin last week to stage an atomic weapons test in the Arctic Ocean as a show of force. Both the United States and Russia, by far the world's largest nuclear powers, have said that a nuclear war can never be won and must never be fought, but the conflict in Ukraine has raised fears of a direct confrontation between Moscow and the West. Ukraine and Poland reach deal to speed up grain exports. Warsaw and Kyiv have agreed a deal to speed up the transit of Ukrainian grain exports through Poland to third countries, signaling a possible breakthrough in their row over the issue. From tomorrow, grains that transit to world markets via Lithuania will undergo checks at a Lithuanian port and not at the Poland-Ukraine border, Polish Agriculture Minister Robert Tellis told journalists. Russia's invasion of Ukraine all but closed its main Black Sea shipping routes, forcing Kyiv to find alternative, overland routes to export its grain to world markets. But because of logistical issues, grain began piling up in EU states neighboring Ukraine, driving down local prices. As a result, the EU temporarily banned imports of Ukrainian grain into Bulgaria, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia, in a bid to protect local farmers. The bloc opted not to renew the ban when it expired on the 15th of September, but Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary maintained the embargo, causing a diplomatic spat with Kyiv. Russia pressing mutinous soldiers into Storm Z squads, report says. Mutinous soldiers and convicts are being pressed into Russian fighting units known as Storm Z squads and sent to the harshest sections of the front lines in Ukraine. According to a new report, the penal squads, each about 100 to 150 strong and embedded within regular army units, have typically been sent to the most exposed parts of the front and often sustain heavy losses, according to Reuters interviews with 13 people with knowledge of the matter, including 5 fighters in the units. Storm fighters, they're just meat, said one regular soldier from Army Unit number 40,318 who was deployed near the fiercely contested city of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine in May and June. While convicts reportedly form the core of the squads, some regular soldiers have been assigned to them as punishment for breaking discipline, according to 2 soldiers interviewed by Reuters. The troops told the news agency said officers had transferred members of their units for being drunk on duty, for using drugs, and for refusing to carry out orders. According to Russian legislation on military discipline, a soldier can only be transferred to a penal unit if convicted by a military court. None of the people who told Reuters of soldiers being sent to Storm Z squads said the men had participated in a court hearing. Ukraine could begin EU membership talks this year, Zelensky says. Ukraine has been told it is absolutely possible that EU membership talks could begin this year, Volodymyr Zelensky said. Our key integration goal is to hammer out a decision this year to start membership negotiations, the Ukrainian president said in his nightly address on Monday, following a surprise meeting of the bloc's foreign ministers in Kyiv. And today I heard once again at the meetings and negotiations that this is absolutely possible. EU countries are due to decide in December whether to allow Ukraine to begin accession negotiations, which would require the unanimous backing of all 27 members. Russia using foreign agent designation to manipulate public opinion, mod. Russia is using a foreign agent tag to manipulate public opinion behind the Kremlin's pro-war, anti-West narratives. The British Ministry of Defence, mod, has said. The ministry cited polling by the Russian Public Opinion Research Center last month, which showed 61% of people surveyed considered individuals or organizations deemed to be foreign agents by Moscow as traitors who disseminate lies about the country. Russia has broadened the foreign agent legislation since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the MOD said in its latest intelligence update on the war. The measures significantly narrow the information space within Russia, making it increasingly difficult to articulate any viewpoint, including dissenting about the war, which deviates from the official line. Japan condemns MP's surprise visit to Russia. Japan's government has condemned a surprise visit to Moscow by a lawmaker who met with Russia's deputy foreign minister. Muneo Suzuki's trip was the first known visit by a Japanese MP since Russia invaded Ukraine. Tokyo has imposed sanctions on Moscow over the offensive. The government wasn't briefed by Suzuki on the Russia visit this time, before or after, spokesman Hirokazu Matsuno said. "We're issuing a warning of cancelling travels to Russia, and no matter what the purpose is, we're urging all citizens to refrain from traveling to Russia," he added. Russia's foreign ministry said Mr. Suzuki met with Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko on Monday. Ukraine to build first underground school in eastern Kharkiv. Ukraine's first fully underground school will be built in Kharkiv, the eastern city's mayor said, in a bid to shield pupils from Russian attacks. Such a shelter will enable thousands of Kharkiv children to continue their safe face-to-face education, even during missile threats, Mayor Igor Terehov said on the Telegram messaging app. While many schools in frontline regions have been forced to teach their students online throughout the war, Kharkiv has organized some 60 separate classrooms throughout its metro stations to house more than 1,000 children and their teachers. Parts of the city lies less than 20 miles from the Russian border, and it has been subject to nearly daily Russian rocket and missile attacks. The new school will meet the most modern regulatory requirements for protective structures, Terehov said. It was not immediately clear how big the school will be or when it will open. Russian official accuses Ukraine of firing cluster munitions at border region. Ukraine fired cluster munitions at a Russian village near the Ukrainian border, damaging several houses, the governor of Russia's Bryansk region said. Alexander Bogomaz said no casualties had been reported so far following the alleged shelling of the village of Klimovo on Tuesday. Ukraine has received cluster munitions from the United States, but it has pledged to use them only to dislodge concentrations of enemy soldiers. Russian officials in Bryansk and other regions bordering Ukraine have repeatedly accused Kyiv of indiscriminate shelling. Ukraine says it downed dozens of drones, one cruise missile. Ukraine's Air Force said it had destroyed 29 of 31 attack drones launched overnight by Russia and one cruise missile. The aerial assault lasted more than 3 hours and mostly targeted the regions of Mykolaiv and Dnipropetrovsk, the southern command of Ukraine's forces said. Falling debris in the southeastern city of Dnipro caused a fire at a private firm that was quickly doused, according to Serhiy Lysuk, Dnipropetrovsk's governor. Damage to manufacturing facilities at an industrial enterprise in the city of Pavlorad led to a fire that was also put out, he added on the Telegram messaging app. Thank you.